The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints allows temples to open to full capacity.
Lohner on the wing right side. Caleb drove it low, gets right to the rim, lays it up and in.
The BYU men's basketball team plays Long Beach in their first game of the NIT tournament.
Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky appeals to U.S. Congress for American support. Welcome to UniverseLive. I'm Brinley King.
And I'm Samantha Burrell. It's Wednesday, March 16th.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky speaks at a joint session of U.S. Congress, appealing to lawmakers for aid in the war against Russia.
Karen Kaifa has more on what Zelensky told lawmakers.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky appealing to U.S. lawmakers at a turning point for his country.
Remember September the 11th, a terrible day in 2001 when evil tried to turn your cities, independent territories, in battlefields.
In a rare address by a foreign head of state to a joint session of U.S. Congress, Zelensky asked for more U.S. action against Russia's attacks on his country, including another call for a no-fly zone.
We are asking for a reply, for an answer to this terror from the whole world. Is this a lot to ask for, to create a no-fly zone over Ukraine to save people?
Congress recently cleared $13.6 billion in aid to Ukraine. And while aid has had bipartisan support, the White House and many lawmakers on both sides of the aisle oppose the no-fly zone, fearing it could prompt the U.S. and Western allies to shoot down Russian planes and create direct conflict with Moscow. Zelensky concluding his speech with a direct plea to President Biden in English.
You are the leader of the nation, of your great nation. I wish you to be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace.
The Biden administration has sought to move more aid into Ukraine quickly, noting it's becoming more difficult to get supplies in. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is giving $4 million to help refugees in Europe. The donation is estimated to help more than 50,000 people affected by the crisis in Ukraine. The money will be split between the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and the World Food Program. The donation will be used to provide items such as blankets, solar lanterns, tents, shelters, and food for the hungry.
A woman in Eagle Mountain is suspected of 30 accounts of animal cruelty after deputies find 16 dead dogs in her home. Warning, these pictures may be disturbing to some viewers. Neighbors reported the situation to the Utah County Sheriff's Office after the dog's owner was hospitalized. Deputies found 15 dead dogs inside a freezer in bags and one more dead on the floor. 14 dogs were still alive and were taken to the North Utah Valley Animal Shelter. This is not the first time something like this has happened with the 74-year-old woman. There was a similar incident in 2018.
Governor Cox signs 24 bills into law, bringing the total number of signed pieces of legislation from this legislative session to 54. The bills dealt with deadline extension for current laws and Wildlife Conservation Fund, a new special group license plate to support the Live On Suicide Prevention campaign. House Bill 78 will consolidate various wildlife fundraising programs and outline where the money will come from and how it will be distributed. House Bill 13 will allow for drivers to purchase the Live On license plate as a way to generate funds for the program.
Utah's First Lady rolls out the Choose Kindness campaign by teaching students to celebrate the similarities and differences of those around them.
Together, we can make the world that little bit kinder for all of us.
First Lady Abby Cox and former BYU basketball player Jimmer Fredette are teaming up to implement the Choose Kindness program in Utah schools. The campaign is part of Fredette's Jimmerosity initiative to teach kindness in schools in order to foster a sense of support and acceptance among the students.
The 2022 Winter Paralympians arrived home in Salt Lake after the Winter Paralympic Games ended on Sunday. The athletes were greeted at the airport with flowers and hugs from loved ones. 10 Utah natives competed in the Winter Paralympic Games. Salt Lake City's International Airport welcomed the athletes back to Utah with a celebratory tweet telling Team USA they rocked it. Mayor Erin Mendenhall responded to the tweet, extending her own welcome to the Paralympians.
BYU announces it will be returning to normal semesters starting this spring. After 2 years of COVID-19 adjustments and restrictions, BYU will be returning to its traditional operations. BYU has made many changes to COVID policy with mask requirements, remote classes, and social distancing. Now that the university is returning to its typical operations, many students will finally get to experience a normal semester.
I really missed, seeing like my classmates, my cohort in the business school. We were all masked and online sometimes, and so to be able to be in person and like really come together is really exciting.
BYU will no longer require students and employees to report their vaccination status, but they will continue to encourage vaccinations and boosters. Students can choose to wear a mask if they would like. These decisions are still subject to change depending on the trends of the virus.
The First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is allowing temples to return to full operation. Temple and area presidencies will be able to consult with the temple department to determine how quickly full operation is attainable. Changes would include removing face mask requirements and capacity restrictions. In a letter to the church, the First Presidency says, "We trust that our members will rejoice in the lessening of restrictions and will increase their commitment to temple and family history work."
A general authority of the 70 encourages students to avoid distractions in life. Elder Kelly R. Johnson spoke at the BYU devotional on Tuesday. He evaluated how students spend their time and how that affects how they follow the Savior. Elder Johnson highlighted 2 invitations found in the well-known phrase, "Come follow me," to help students focus on simplicity.
The first invitation is to come to Christ, and the second is to follow him. We have to come to him before we can follow him.
He shared how even good things can distract us from following the Savior. These good things could include school and work schedules, social media, hobbies, and more. Johnson finished by inviting students to ponder on the direction of their lives and determine what should be added in or taken out.
BYU men's basketball will host Long Beach State tonight. Tip-off will be at 7 p.m. The game is the opening round action of the National Invitational Tournament after the Cougars earned a 2 seed in the 32 seed field. It will be BYU's 15th appearance in the tournament and the first time playing in it since 2018. If BYU beats Long Beach State, they will go on to host St. Louis University or the University of Iowa. If they lose, their season comes to an end.
Take a look at this video. A motorcyclist crashes on a rising drawbridge. Why he didn't see the lowered traffic arms.
A man climbs up a construction crane and gets stuck. We'll show you how crews brought him down.
Today is National Panda Day. Find out the reason behind the pandemonium.
Who was caught in an avalanche and what happened to them?
Dora knows better than anyone. The best place to explore is the forest.
She knows this monkey? Of course, she knows this monkey.
Experience nature.
Let's go.
Connect with family.
I love you guys.
And find your own adventure in a forest or park near you.
Let's do this. Come on, Boots.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest or park near you.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
The good news is that we can get this passed. We don't have to keep doing this stupidity anymore. And why we would enshrine this in our laws and keep it for so long is beyond me.
The U.S. Senate unanimously passed the Sunshine Protection Act, which proposes that daylight savings time change becomes permanent. The proposed act, sponsored by Senator Marco Rubio, would end the practice of setting clocks back in the fall. If the House passes the bill, the change would go into effect next November. A fourth COVID-19 shot could be available soon for people over 65. Pfizer and BioNTech submitted an application to the Food and Drug Administration on Tuesday for the emergency use authorization of a second booster shot. Pfizer says it is continuing to collect data with health officials to determine whether a fourth dose is needed. Both Pfizer and BioNTech are currently researching additional shots, including doses specific to the Omicron variant.
A motorcyclist crashes on a rising drawbridge in Daytona Beach, Florida, Saturday morning. The man crashed through a lowered traffic arm, fell or jumped off his bike, and narrowly missed falling off the bridge. He told police he didn't see the lowered traffic arms because he was wiping rain off of his helmet's face shield. He was given a $166 fine for careless driving. The biker was taken to the hospital with injuries that were not life-threatening. Florida officials rescue a man who climbed up a crane. He got stuck several stories above the ground. The man was not authorized to be on this equipment. Firefighters were called out to rescue this climber from his precarious predicament. Traffic was reduced to one lane each direction during the rescue. The man was brought down safely by the crew and taken to a local hospital. Fire officials don't know why the man climbed up the crane.
The Fed is raising interest rates by a quarter point to try and curb soaring inflation in the U.S.
This is the rate hike since 2018. Amy Kiley reports the hope now is to curb inflation.
The goal of raising interest rates is to combat inflation and lower prices for consumer goods. The Federal Reserve has kept rates at zero since the pandemic started. That's helped the economy by helping businesses and consumers borrow and spend money.
The housing market is incredibly critical. Shelter costs are the #1 expense for most American households.
That ability to spend has boosted demand for big-ticket items, but now supply is struggling to keep up. Add to that rising energy costs.
Russia's the largest energy producer, but even before that, costs were rising, as we know, because of the COVID-19 disruptions to the supply chain.
New numbers show a 7.9% increase in the consumer price index year over year. The cost of food has risen about 8%. Energy is up almost 26%, and relief is unlikely to come soon.
Almost any category you can imagine that the consumers spend money on, those also went up generally. So yeah, next month I think is going to be pretty painful.
Inflation is so bad, some experts worry about a recession.
Inflation is the one killer. It is a tax. Inflation is a tax no matter how you look at it. And you got to get your financial house in order.
The hope is that an interest rate increase will lower the cost of living for average Americans.
Right now times are tough and I'm trying to make things meet and stuff.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Time for some cute and cuddly news. It's National Panda Day.
Abby Gunderson is here to tell us all about it. Abby?
National Panda Day brings awareness to one of the world's most adorable species. Pandas have a big appetite, eating 28 pounds of bamboo a day. The National Day was created to bring awareness to these unique bears. With less than 2,000 pandas left in the world, their species is considered vulnerable. In the wild, pandas face threats like forest changes, poachers, and their own slow breeding rate. Pandas live 20 to 30 years, depending on if they live in the wild or under a zookeeper's care. Wild pandas prefer the wet and cool climate of the mountainous bamboo forests in central China. Check out the Smithsonian Zoo's Panda Cam to see some pandas in a simulated habitat. So what do pandas do all day? Well, National Geographic Kids says pandas spend about 12 hours a day snacking on bamboo. If your heart hasn't melted yet, this might do the trick. Penelope Rusi posted this video of a day in the life of a panda caretaker. Talk about clingy coworkers. And some exciting news from Netflix. Get ready for some pandemonium. Jack Black is returning as Poe the Panda in a new animated series. If you're looking to celebrate, try watching a documentary, reading about panda conservation, or snacking for 12 hours.
An avalanche in Silver Fork buried a ski guide while he took a group into the mountains over the weekend. Luckily, 3 members of his party already had avalanche training and helped dig out the victim. A rescue team helicoptered the ski guide out 28 minutes after the avalanche started. The skier was in critical condition but stable. In a letter detailing the accident, a party member recommends people carry nasopharyngeal and make sure to verify a safe location before skiing. This comes after months of warnings from the Utah Avalanche Center. As the temperatures warm up this week, chances for avalanches will only increase, although we are unfortunately not expecting a lot more precipitation. Looking at the radar today, you can see these weak storm systems across the state. If you're on campus today, you may have already experienced some of those light rain sprinkles. We're having one of those systems come in from the northwest that's swooping across the northern part of the state, and one straight from California sweeping across southern Utah and northern Arizona. Regardless of where you are, once these clouds exit the state, we'll experience dry, stable conditions through the end of this week. The cloud systems may re-enter the state and bring in a chance of rain over the weekend, but more on that in a second. Looking at our temperatures today, we're seeing temperatures highs up in the 50s and 60s, lows dropping just below freezing with the exception of St. George that won't quite get that cold. Speaking of southern Utah, temperatures will only get warmer for them over the weekend. We're looking at highs in the 70s, lows in the 40s with that slight chance of rain Saturday evening and Sunday morning, bringing in ever so slightly colder temperatures. Northern Utah, on the other hand, won't be quite as warm. You can see tomorrow we are having a high of 51 and a low of 34. That sunshine will continue up until Saturday night again, and those temperatures will cool down for the weekend. So overall, look forward to some beautifully warm weather this weekend with the exception of that possible rainstorm. I don't know about you guys, but I am already ready for the weekend.
Me too. I'm excited for some rain, hopefully.
Yeah. And actually, to keep on going with that cold, if you are one of the many people who fell in love with Kraft mac and cheese ice cream last summer, grab your spoons.
The mac and cheesy icy treat is returning to Walmarts across the country, but you better act fast because the flavor may only be available for a limited time. While you're there, you can grab 6 other new flavors. The new tastes include Planet Earth, Pizza, Hot Honey, Royal Wedding Cake, Bourbon Cherries, Jubilee, and Wild Blueberry Shortcake. Thanks for joining us today for UniverseLive. For more information on our stories or to share them with your friends, check out our website at universe.byu.edu.
Have a great day, everyone.